Hello everybody, here we are today finishing out our 2023 CFL season recaps with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now before we start with it, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or the CFL, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So 2022 saw the Blue Bombers go 15-3, the best year that they had in franchise history before losing in the Grey Cup to the Toronto Argonauts. In very heartbreaking fashion, they would have clinched a dynasty had they won that game. However, they lost and were a very motivated team going into 2023, where they started out the year really well with a 4-1 record through their first 5 games. Their only loss being to the BC Lions 30-6. Painful, but it happens. But still, looking good. The following week, they would lose to the Ottawa Redblacks in overtime. Really frustrating because, again, they probably should have won that game. However, they fall to 4-2. People make a bigger deal out of this than they really need to, as through their first third of the year, they still have 4 wins, and that's not too shabby. And then their next 5 games, they go on to win all of those with 2 resume-worthy wins over the BC Lions and the Montreal Alouettes, as they beat BC either 51-14 or 50-14, and they beat the Owls 37-17. That is amazing. Now, their following 3 games, they would have 2 losses, but in there, sandwiched right in there, was a 51-6 thrashing against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They derailed Saskatchewan's season with that win, in my opinion, as that seemed to shake a lot of things up in Rider Nation. They might have lost 2 of those 3 games, but again, a very important win for the team as Winnipeg is sitting pretty. And then over their final 4 games, they win all of those to go 14-4 on the year with yet another win over the BC Lions as they claim the division title. Just a great regular season by Winnipeg. They have the most points per game in the league. They have the most rushing yards. They have the second most passing yards. They have the most passing touchdowns, and they have the best quarterback rating in that time. The offense was able to go out there and really produce. Defensively, they didn't make life very easy either for opposing quarterbacks, as they allowed 12 passing touchdowns on the season with 13 interceptions. So you could say that life wasn't very fun for either teams. They finished 3rd in the year, which was pretty healthy considering, especially looking at a guy like Jackson Jeffcoat missed some time with injuries, and they allowed the fewest points per game. So just like the offense, they were able to go out there and produce, as the Bombers may have not been the best team in terms of record for the 2023 campaign, but still, we're a very good side. Now, I will be honest with you, kind of a weird thing that you notice with this team, they could go out there and really beat up on some good teams, but they weren't dominant every week. They weren't a team that week in and week out you thought they were going to get a really easy, comfortable win. There were some games that were a little bit closer than you like. Maybe the final score would indicate a better game than what it was, but still, I guess it really doesn't matter if you have some games where you're not blowing teams out. If you finish 14-4 and you still are capable of beating some of the better sides in the league, the Montreals, the Torontos, the BCs of the CFL, you're going to be in alright shape as you enter the playoffs. And they were more than alright, as they get to watch the Calgary BC game to see who would win that and who they'd get to host in the Western Final. When you know it, it is a rematch with the BC Lions. The final score of this game is a little bit closer, again, than it would probably indicate. But this is where Winnipeg had a really good game, and I would argue that BC would be happy with the final score being what it was, because the Blue Bombers were able to put on a show. Brady Oliveira had a pretty good game, especially in moments in this where he just looked unstoppable. But more importantly, talked about this already, Vernon Adams Jr. was sacked 9 times in this affair. Just had to worry about getting the ball out of his hands constantly. You know, it's cold weather up there in Winnipeg. And yet another win for Winnipeg against BC, as they flexed their muscle and say we are the best of the West. And they got to go into the Grey Cup yet again, where this time they see the Montreal Alouettes, a side that they had already beat by a healthy margin earlier in the year, and it was a doozy. Unfortunately, though, for Winnipeg, they wouldn't go on to win this game, as the Owls would have a late last-minute drive to be able to win this one. Heartbreaking loss for the Blue Bombers, as they would go 17-for-23 on 2nd down and had 25 first downs in this game. They had a double-digit lead on 2 occasions, I believe, in this game. It was 10-0, I think, and then 17-7. They just weren't able to hold on, and this was another year very incredible in the regular season, a respectable run in the playoffs where they're able to punch their ticket to the Grey Cups yet again, but they don't win, and they aren't able to capture their CFL dynasty just yet. Team that's been able to go to the Grey Cup on 4 straight seasons, but yet again, for the 2nd straight year, they aren't able to claim that 3rd championship. So we'll see what happens in this following season. You have to wonder a little bit how many more kicks at the can they'll get with this aging roster, But like I said, I'm excited for what this season has to offer for this team. 2023 was a year where their attendance was good. Fans had yet another reason to show up for the games. And I think that 2024 will offer more of the same. We'll just see if this year ends in a dynasty. What are your thoughts on the 2023 Winnipeg Blue Bombers? Are you happy with the result? Are you mad with the result? Winnipeg fans probably sad with the result, if I'm being honest. That is all for the season recaps. I'm going to try to get the previews out here in the next coming few weeks. I'm not exactly sure what I should do with it. Let me know what you guys think when I should put out the season previews, I should say, and all that stuff. Also, please make sure to subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe and have a great night.